My name is Selene Laurent. I'm 34 years old, a commercial litigation attorney living in the glittering heart of Paris. I've spent over a decade building my career, from sleepless nights in law school to 80-hour weeks at a prestigious firm. 5 years ago, I took a leap and started my own practice. Now, I own a 3-bedroom penthouse overlooking the Seine, where the Eiffel Tower lights shimmer every night. It's a life built with sweat and tears. But to my family, none of it matters. They still think I don't deserve any of it. If you're still listening, we want to sincerely thank you for spending your time with us. Truly means a lot. We'd love to know, where in the world are you watching from? Drop your country in the comments and let's see how far this message has reached. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I highly recommend doing it now so you won't miss any of our upcoming stories. These aren't just ordinary stories, they're filled with meaningful life lessons that can inspire, teach, and stay with you long after the video ends. Hit that subscribe button and join our growing community. That day was my sister's wedding. Amélie Laurent, 29 years old, a stage actress with grand dreams that never quite caught fire. She was marrying Julien, a wealthy financier she had met less than a year ago. The ceremony took place at a centuries-old château in the heart of Provence, with 200 elegantly dressed guests mingling under rose-draped archways and candlelight dancing across the garden. I stood there, wrapped in a silver silk gown, my champagne glass trembling slightly in my hand, watching Amélie glide past in a haute couture wedding dress, every inch the picture of a fairy tale princess. But I couldn't ignore the irony. She was marrying for money, and now she wanted a piece of the life I had bled to build. My mother, Madame Elise Laurent, approached me with that signature smile she wore whenever she wanted something. Her silver hair was styled immaculately, and her navy blue dress was undoubtedly more expensive than most people's monthly rent. "Selene, darling," she began sweetly, "we need to have a little family talk." My stomach tightened instantly. A family talk in the Laurent household never brought good news. "Mother," I said, keeping my voice neutral, "it's Amélie's wedding. Can't this wait?" "No, it really can't," my father, Monsieur Henri Laurent, appeared beside her. Even at 60, he carried authority in his perfectly tailored tuxedo. But his eyes, those cold, disapproving eyes, had haunted me since childhood. "We need to discuss your living situation." "My living situation?" I lowered my glass and placed it on the nearby table, instinctively needing both hands free for what I knew was coming. "What do you mean?" "Darling," my mother said, her voice syrupy and nauseatingly calm, "Amélie and Julien are starting a family. They need more space than that tiny flat Julien is renting." I blinked hard. "They don't even have children yet, Mother." "But they will soon," Amélie interjected, her arm wrapped possessively around Julien's waist. 29, she was undeniably beautiful, reddish-brown hair curled just so, eyes the color of a Provençal sky, but her smile had always unnerved me. Calculated. Hollow. "We're planning to start trying right after the honeymoon." "Congratulations," I said coolly. "I'm sure you'll find a lovely place to raise your family." "We already have," she beamed. "We want your penthouse." It hit like a punch to the chest. "What?" "Selene, please don't overreact," my father cut in, adopting that condescending tone he used when pretending he was being reasonable. "You're a single woman. You don't need that much space. Amélie and Julien do, especially if they're planning for children." "You're asking me to give up my home?" I said slowly, trying to make sense of the sheer audacity. "The home I worked my entire life to afford?" "Not give up," my mother corrected quickly. "Trade. You'd take Julien's apartment. It's perfectly adequate for one person." "His 50-square-meter apartment in the suburbs?" I asked flatly. "You want me to trade a 3-bedroom penthouse overlooking the Seine for a shoebox in outer Paris?" "Selene, don't be dramatic," Amélie said, her tone laced with that patronizing edge she always used when she wanted to make me feel like a petulant child. "You don't even need 3 bedrooms. You don't even have a boyfriend." Cut like a blade, precisely as she intended. Amélie had always been the golden child in our parents' eyes, the one who could do no wrong. When she dropped out of university to find herself, they called it brave. When she changed jobs and boyfriends like outfits, they called it exploration. But when I graduated top of my class in law school, they worried I was working too hard. When I started my own firm and struggled to keep it afloat, they called me reckless. And when I finally succeeded, they acted like it was pure luck. "I need those rooms because it's my home," I replied, my voice rising despite myself. "I worked for it. I paid for it. I'm not giving it up." "Selene Marie Laurent," my mother snapped, voice sharp and clipped, "you're being selfish. Family always comes first." I laughed, a bitter, involuntary sound. "Family? When have you ever treated me like family? When I needed help studying for the bar exam, you said I was antisocial. When I launched my firm and nearly burned out, Father called me careless. And when I finally made it, you all pretended it was an accident. But now that I have something you want, suddenly I'm family?" Amélie stepped forward, her face flushed with fury. "You know what your problem is, Selene? You've always been jealous of me. You can't stand the fact that I'm getting married, that I'm going to have the family you'll never have." "I'm not jealous of you, Amélie," I replied, my voice quiet but sharp. "I'm disappointed in you." "Disappointed?" she scoffed. "You're disappointed in me? I'm the one getting married. I'm the one giving our parents grandchildren. What have you done besides make money?" "I've built a life," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I've worked hard for everything I have. I've never asked anyone for anything." "Well, we're asking now," my father said, his tone suddenly firm. "Your sister needs that penthouse more than you do. It's time you did something for your family instead of thinking only of yourself." "Henry's right," my mother added, her voice rising. "Selfish daughters don't deserve success. You were given everything, and now you can't even help your own sister?" That accusation was so absurd, I almost laughed. "Given?" I said, disbelief creeping into my voice. "I worked 3 jobs to pay for law school. I lived on instant noodles for 2 years while building my firm. I've never taken a single euro from this family." "Your sister's children need a real home," my father snapped, loud enough that a few nearby guests turned their heads. "Not some cramped little apartment. They deserve better. They don't even exist yet." I shot back. But I already knew I was losing. My family had always excelled at making me feel guilty for succeeding. Amélie stepped closer, her voice dropping into a cold hiss. "You know what, Selene? I'm tired of pretending to care about your feelings. I've always known I was the better daughter. I'm prettier, I'm more likable, and I make our parents proud. And now I'm finally getting what I deserve." "What is it you think you deserve, Amélie?" I asked, my tone calm but my gaze unflinching. "Everything," she said simply. "The penthouse. The respect. The life you're so selfishly holding on to. I deserve it all, and I will have it. Over my dead body," I said. The slap came so fast I didn't even see it. Amélie's hand cracked against my cheek with a sound so sharp it sliced through the warm hum of the reception like a whip. For a single suspended moment, everything stopped: music, conversation, clinking glasses. Silence swallowed the entire garden. Then came the murmurs, the sharp inhales, and finally the laughter. Started as stifled giggles from Amélie's entourage, the ones who always whispered that I was too serious, too proud, too cold. But it spread quickly like a match to dry grass. She actually slapped her. Typical Selene, always so high and mighty. She had it coming. My face was burning, not just from the sting, but from the eyes now pinned to me like daggers. Still, I didn't cry. I refused to give them that victory. I refused to confirm their twisted version of me, the icy, unfeeling lawyer who finally cracked. Amélie looked triumphant, like a queen delivering punishment to a rebel subject. Maybe now you'll remember how to be a proper big sister. I looked past her at our parents. They stood behind her, unmoving. No shock. No anger. No defense. Just cold judgment, quiet expectancy. They weren't here to support me. They were here to witness my submission. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about a penthouse. Never was. It was about control, status, punishment, about reminding me that no matter what I built, I would always be lesser. That my success, hard-earned and blood-soaked, was meaningless in their narrative. But they miscalculated. They humiliated me in front of 200 witnesses, powerful, polished people from Paris's legal and financial elite. People who'd worked with me, respected me, admired me. Some of them owed me favors. Some feared me. And now all of them had seen this. I didn't speak. I reached into my clutch and drew out my phone, calm and deliberate, though fury surged in my chest like fire behind glass. My mother's voice cut through the tension. "Selene, what are you doing?" I didn't answer. My thumbs moved across the screen. Focused. Precise. The laughter tapered. Eyes shifted from mockery to curiosity. I wasn't unraveling, I was doing something else. Something unfamiliar to them. Something dangerous. "Put that away," my father snapped, low and firm. "You're making a fool of yourself." "No," I said, my voice steady. "I'm not the fool here." Amélie's expression twisted. She stepped toward me and made a grab for my phone. But she was too late. I pivoted slightly, sidestepped her reach, and hit send just as her fingers brushed the edge of the device. "What did you just do?" she hissed. I looked up slowly, meeting her eyes with an expression she hadn't seen before. Controlled. Cold. Then I turned to my parents. To the guests. All of them now quiet. Watching. "I just made a choice," I said. "The kind of revenge that doesn't scream or cry. The kind that silences people permanently." Amélie's smile faded. My mother's brow furrowed. My father narrowed his eyes. I gave none of them answers. Not yet. My phone buzzed again, one message, then another, then a stream of rapid-fire notifications. "What did you just send?" my mother asked, her voice rising, panic creeping in. For the first time that evening, I smiled lightly, calmly. I sent a message to a little group chat of mine. You know, the one filled with lawyers, journalists, business partners I've built relationships with over the years. People who actually matter in Paris. Amélie's face drained of color. "What message?" "Just a brief update," I said, my voice steady in the stunned silence. "About how my family demanded I give up my penthouse to my younger sister and her new husband. About how my mother called me a selfish daughter who didn't deserve her success. About how my father insisted my sister's unborn children needed a home more than I do. And how my sister slapped me in front of 200 people because I wouldn't surrender the life I built." The room went dead silent. Even the string quartet stopped mid-note. I also mentioned how the room laughed when I was struck, I added. "Funny, isn't it? How a successful woman still gets put back in her place when her family decides she's gone too far." My mother lunged for my phone, but I stepped back. "Too late," I said. "It's already out there. And everyone here can confirm it." My father's face twisted in fury. "You're ruining yourself." "No," I said. "I'm reclaiming myself." "Selene, delete it now," my father warned, his voice edged with danger. I shrugged. "Delete what?" "The truth?" "It's too late, Dad. People know how social media works. Once it's out there, it lives forever. My phone buzzed nonstop with notifications, some expressing outrage, others support. The story was spreading faster than I expected. "You're cruel," Amélie shouted, her voice trembling. "No, Amélie," I replied calmly. "I'm just done being your doormat." Julien, who had been silent until now, finally spoke. "Selene, maybe we can talk this through. We didn't want things to go this far." I looked at him and, for a moment, felt a flicker of pity. "You married into the wrong family, Julien. You have no idea what you've walked into." "What do you mean?" he asked, his tone revealing genuine confusion. "I mean your new bride and her family just made enemies out of people who actually matter. Ever heard of Judge Isabelle Moreau? She was here tonight. She saw everything. She texted me herself, saying how disgusted she was by Amélie's behavior." Amélie's face drained of color, going from pale to ashen. Judge Moreau was one of the most respected figures in Paris, famed for her zero tolerance for arrogance. "And Pierre Dubois from Le Monde?" I added. "He's been shadowing me all night, trying to get a statement about that recent case. He witnessed the whole thing and asked if I had any thoughts on how successful women are treated by their own families." "Selene, please stop," my mother cried. "You're ruining Amélie's wedding." "Amélie ruined her own wedding the moment she decided to slap me in front of 200 people, I said coldly. "And let's be clear, it wasn't a slap. That was assault. Witnessed by 200 guests, including lawyers, a judge, and a journalist." Amélie's lip quivered, but I didn't look away. "You want to know what I deserve?" I asked, scanning the room of stunned faces. "I deserve to not be attacked by my own family." My phone rang. I looked at the screen and smiled. "Well, this should be interesting. It's Claire Beaumont from Beaumont and Associés, the law firm that manages reputations in major scandals. She's offering to help. For free." Amélie's face drained of all color. In Paris, reputation management meant crisis control, and if Claire Beaumont was calling, the story had spiraled far beyond what I had set in motion. "Selene, please," Amélie whispered. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to slap you. I was just emotional." "Emotional?" I gave a dry laugh. "You're sorry for the consequences. You're sorry because you couldn't take anything from me without resistance. But you're not sorry for what you did." "I really am sorry," she insisted. "I'll apologize in public. I'll say it was a mistake." "It's too late," I said flatly. "The damage is done." And it was. I could see it on the faces around us. The laughter had stopped, replaced by uneasy whispers and sharp glances. The same people who once found it amusing to humiliate me were now looking at Amélie with quiet revulsion. Posts had already spread online, and in Parisian high society, reputation is everything. "What do you want?" my father asked, his voice calm but utterly defeated. "I want to be left alone," I said clearly. "All of you. I want you to stop treating me like an ATM. I want you to stop expecting me to sacrifice my peace for Amélie's comfort. And I want you to stop pretending that this family means anything to you beyond what you can take from me." "Selene, we're still family," my mother whispered. "No, we're not," I replied. "Family doesn't demand their daughter give up her home. Family doesn't scream at her in public. Family doesn't assault her at a wedding. Family supports one another, celebrates each other's success, and treats each other with respect. None of you have ever done that for me." I took a step back, smoothing down my jacket as if brushing off the last remnants of their entitlement. "You all made your choices," I said. "So now I'm making mine." My mother opened her mouth, but no words came out. Her eyes were wide, darting between me and the guests who were now walking away with forced smiles and whispered apologies. Her perfectly curled hair, so carefully arranged for the cameras earlier, had started to wilt. "You don't mean this," she finally managed. "I do," I said. "I've meant it for years. I just didn't know how to say it until tonight." Amélie stood frozen in the center of the ballroom, bouquet dangling from her hand like some dead thing. Her groom, Julien, stood beside her, silent, useless, the mask of charm long fallen from his face. I wondered if she finally saw him clearly now, or if she still thought she was the victim. A waiter accidentally dropped a glass behind me, the shatter echoing like punctuation. People flinched. No one looked at me anymore. Too dangerous. Too loud. Too inconvenient. "I'll be leaving now," I said. "I've got a call to return to a national paper, and I suspect several others are lining up after that." "Selene, we didn't mean to hurt you," my mother said, taking a small step forward. I turned slowly. "You didn't mean to get caught," I corrected. "You meant every word, every sneer, every guilt-laced demand. You just never thought I'd finally walk away from it." A reporter had messaged again. "We heard there was a physical altercation involving a lawyer from Moreau and Levesque. Please confirm for statement." I smiled. It was happening. The shame they tried to bury me in was now theirs to carry, publicly, collectively, and irrevocably. My father tried one last time. "Don't make this worse than it has to be. You're emotional. You're angry." "Yes," I said. "Because I've been silent for so long, you mistook it for compliance. But I'm not quiet anymore. And I'm not coming back." Amélie's voice cracked, broken and bitter. "You just want attention. You always did." I laughed. Not cruelly, just truthfully. "No, Amélie. I wanted respect. But you all made it clear that was off the table." I paused, letting the silence settle again. There was no music now, no laughter, no clinking of champagne flutes. Just the rustle of silk and suit jackets as people made their exit from a wedding that was already falling apart at the seams. "You were supposed to be happy for me," she whimpered. "And I was," I said, stepping closer, my voice low but clear. "Until you asked me to give up what I built. Until you slapped me because I wouldn't lie down and be convenient for you." Julien shifted awkwardly, then turned and walked away. Whether from her or from the wreckage she caused, I didn't care. One more person abandoning her in the wake of a mess she thought she could control. "You're not the only one who worked hard, Selene," my mother hissed. "No, but I'm the only one who was told to give it up for someone else's comfort." There was no anger in my voice anymore. Just resolve. I walked past them, my father, my mother, my crying sister in a stained wedding dress. They were relics now, symbols of a story I'd finally finished. As I reached the grand double doors of the hall, a young woman, an intern from a law firm I once mentored, approached me, eyes wide. "Miss Rousseau, I just wanted to say what you did in there. It was brave." I looked at her. Young, smart, and still believing that family would one day reward her for loyalty. I hoped she'd learn faster than I did. "It wasn't brave," I said softly. "It was necessary." Sighed, the Paris air was cool against my skin. I breathed deeply for the first time in what felt like years. The sky was navy blue, speckled with stars, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I owed anyone an apology for standing tall. My phone buzzed again. Another message. Another journalist. Another door opening. Behind me, the sound of shouting. A voice yelling my name. I didn't turn. I walked to the curb, flagged a cab, and slid into the back seat. The driver asked for a destination. I smiled. Anywhere but here. And with that, I left my past, my ghosts, my guilt, and every stolen piece of me exactly where it belonged. Behind me. "We didn't know she was going to slap you," my mother insisted. "But you didn't stop her. You didn't apologize. You didn't even ask if I was okay. You all just stood there." I walked toward the door, the sound of my heels echoing sharply against the marble floor. Behind me, I could hear Amélie sobbing, my mother whispering in panic, and my father grumbling in frustration, but I didn't turn back. The doorway, I turned one last time. The grand ballroom looked like the aftermath of a disaster. Guests huddled in awkward clusters, whispering. The bride was crying uncontrollably, the groom stood frozen, and my parents desperately tried to salvage a situation that had already spiraled far beyond their control. "You know what's funny?" I said loudly, my voice echoing through the nearly empty room. "I would have helped if someone had just asked nicely. If you treated me like family, not a damn ATM. I would have helped you find a nice place to live, hell, I might have even helped with the deposit." A thick, uncomfortable silence settled over the room. "But you didn't ask," I said, scanning the faces that once told me I was never enough. "You demanded my home. You yelled at me. You insulted me. You physically attacked me when I said no. So now, you get nothing." And with that, I walked out of the château, head held high, leaving behind the ruins of Amélie's wedding and the crumbling reputation of our family name. Cool Provence air hit my face like another slap, but this one I welcomed. Cleared the fog. My phone buzzed nonstop with messages from colleagues, friends, even strangers who had seen the viral video and were sending support. One text made me stop walking. "Judge Moreau, Selene, what I witnessed tonight was disgraceful. You have my full support. Call me if you need anything." I didn't reply, but I smiled. I chose to walk the rest of the way to my hotel rather than take the car waiting for me. I needed the silence, the movement, the space to think. When I reached my room, Camille called. She was my best friend from law school, now a prosecutor. Her voice came sharp and urgent through the speaker. "Selene, what the hell happened?" I saw the group chat. "There's already a video going around on Instagram. Amélie slapped you? Are you serious?" "She did," I said, stepping onto the balcony to face the shimmering city lights. "But I'm okay, Camille. Honestly, I think I'm finally free." "Free," she repeated. "Free from pretending they're my family. Free from the guilt they always threw at me for being successful. Free from walking on eggshells every time I'm near them." There was a pause. "You know this is going to blow up, right?" Camille said quietly. "It's going to be messy." "I know," I said calmly. "But I'm tired of cleaning up their messes. This time, let them clean their own." The next morning, the story hit Paris Match with a headline that made my stomach clench and my spine straighten. "Lawyer slapped by sister at wedding over penthouse dispute." The video of the slap went viral across social media, tagged with hashtag #ProvençAssault and hashtag #FamilyBetrayal. Strangers began sharing their own stories of selfish families. Support poured in, not just for the slap, but for my decision to stand up. For not bowing down. Amélie lost her job at a small theater after sponsors quietly pulled their funding. Julien, now linked to a public scandal, faced a professional ethics investigation. My parents? Their beloved membership at a prestigious Parisian club was suspended indefinitely. The fallout rippled in every direction, but it never touched me. I didn't sue Amélie, though Judge Moreau said I could. The slap wasn't about injury, it was about humiliation. But in the end, she humiliated herself. Meanwhile, my law firm gained momentum. New clients came looking for the lawyer who doesn't back down. I kept the penthouse. One room became my home office, the other a guest suite for close friends. The same place Amélie said I didn't deserve, now filled with warmth, laughter, and mutual respect. Sometimes I wonder, could I have handled it differently? Could I have drawn the line without hurting them? But then I hear the sound of that slap echoing through the wedding hall. I see the smirk on Amélie's face as 200 guests laughed with her. She thought she'd won. But I chose a different kind of revenge, one they never saw coming. I didn't use violence. I used truth. I let it speak for itself, louder than any scream ever could. Amélie called me a week later, crying, desperate. Selene, I'm sorry. I'll apologize publicly. Just help me fix this. You can't apologize your way out of consequences, I replied, watching the Seine glisten beneath my window. Families don't strike each other, Amélie. Families don't demand what they're unwilling to give. She hung up in tears. I never heard from her again. 6 months later, Amélie and Julien divorced. My parents now live in quiet social exile. And me? I found peace. Not in shouting. Not in punishment. But in stillness. In finally saying, no, you don't get to treat me like this anymore. And that was enough. What did I learn? 3 things. First, silence is not weakness. It's power when chosen. I didn't need to scream. I let the truth speak. Second, blood doesn't give anyone the right to belittle or control you. Boundaries are love for yourself. Third, sometimes your real family is the one you build, not the one you're born into. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect. Maybe you've been quiet for too long. Maybe today's the day you say enough. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories like this, stories that remind us we're not alone, and that healing begins when we reclaim our voice.